Want to learn how to ace that haunch turn or forehand turn in your pattern class? Then stay tuned and I'll give you a few tips and tricks to be able to keep your horse's foot planted. Hello equine enthusiasts, welcome back to my channel. My name is Shay. If you're new here, hello, welcome. Sorry about the child screaming today who's finding everything to be entertained by. In today's video, we're talking all about pivots, and I'm going to take Penny just to do some in-hand work showing you guys how to do the proper forehand and haunch turns. Let's get her groomed up and then we'll head into the arena. All right, so a couple of things to remember when it comes to pivots. If you're in a pattern class, make sure you look and see what type of pivot it is, whether it's a haunch turn or a forehand turn. They're two very different things. I'm also going to show you guys a little bit of how to correctly ask for each a forehand and haunch turn, and also how you would incorrectly ask for it, or some faults when it comes to a haunch turn or forehand turn. First things first, when it comes to training for really anything, but when it comes to training the haunch turn and forehand turn, you want to praise for as little steps as possible in the very beginning. So if they do a slight bit of yield for you, you need to praise that and move on to the next thing. Penny has obviously done a lot of haunch turns and forehands before, so it's going to be a little difficult to show the incorrect way, but I'm going to try to show you guys. Forehand is you're turning on the forehand, haunch turn you're turning on the haunch. The main thing to remember is when it comes to direction, you want to make sure it's whatever way the head turns. So it's not which side you're on, it's all about which way the horse's head is turning. So left forehand, the head is going to be going to the left foot is planted, and the hind end is going to be going to the right. For a haunch turn, they're going to have the left hind planted and the whole body is going to move to the left. First thing, I'm making sure that she's fairly square when it comes to all 4 feet. They're all 4 kind of close together. They're not going to be super spread out, causing her to go off balance immediately. We want to make sure we're setting her up for as much success as possible. When it comes to actually teaching the haunch turn and the forehand turn, you can do this a few different ways. In the beginning stages, when it comes to a forehand turn, I'm giving her that energy towards her hind end. So I'm going to ask for just a little bit. If she starts to understand, good. Just that little bit of a turn was enough to stop and give her that release. The correct way for me to do a forehand with Penny, the way I've cued her into it, is to give her a little bit of a long lead with this. I don't want to be pulling her head around and throwing her off balance. So we're gonna, can we stay square? We're just gonna give a slight bit of direction. So I'm basically gonna be kind of putting my energy and motion towards her hind end to get her to pivot around. Maybe. Good girl. Good. Good. Ooh. Good. Very nice. There are a couple of different ways to do it. Some people prefer to back around. I prefer to use forward motion. Another thing you want to keep in mind when it comes to the show ring is you really don't want to be staring down at the foot the whole time. You want to be walking like you know exactly where you're going and it's no big deal. You're just going to move around a circle and move on. You may have noticed at the very end, she kind of picked up that left foot. A pick up and set back down isn't an issue. It's when they pick up and put it in a different location. That usually says that they're off balance and it's not a correct forehand turn. However, when they just kind of pick up the foot, that's usually them kind of readjusting their leg. A judge isn't going to find as much of a fault in that as they are for a horse that's completely off balance. When it comes to training for the haunch turn, you want to make sure that you're not putting too much pressure on the head, because that can just send your horse into a bend. But you want to make sure you're keeping a loose lead. You can use a flat hand along the face, but make sure you're keeping a hand on the shoulder to keep them in that straight line. Now this is not where I would keep my hands if I were in a show ring. Whoa. Ooh. This is not where I would keep my hands in a show ring. In a show ring, I would keep my hands exactly where they were at all times. I do not touch my horse when I'm in the arena, but this is a good way to get them to understand how they're supposed to move their body accurately. One thing to keep in mind is if your horse really isn't getting the accuracy of this one, try to slow it down as much as possible, even if that just means going super slow yourself, taking only a couple steps at a time, just enough to get it accurate. Good girl. Ooh, good. Ooh, good girl. Penny was a little iffy on that one. It definitely wasn't as good as her forehand turn. The main thing I was looking for was trying to keep her right behind the center of balance. Now, some things you don't want to do when it comes to any sort of pivots really is make sure that you are choked up on the lead. See, Penny already is like, what are you doing? So if I were to ask for a forehand and I just start pulling her head around, it's going to throw her off balance. You could see, well, she's sticking it pretty good. You can see her kind of step out there. It's got her in this all sorts of wonky bend. It just doesn't look pretty. Same thing with the haunch turn. What I don't want to do is get a bend. This doesn't look nearly as nice as if she were straight bodied. The other thing is then it's also throwing off which foot she's supposed to be on. Okay, let's do it right now. Good girl. Good. Good. Ooh. Good girl. That one was nice. Good job. I am going to have a video talking about how I transfer all of this from ground to mounted work. In this video, I'm just talking about how to get this stuff down accurate on the ground. But if you can get this down perfectly, it's going to be so much easier to transfer it to riding. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Penny is ready for dinner. She's done in. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment down below, and I'll see you in next week's video. Bye, guys.